Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
And I'm Dan Wilbur.
Dan, it's good to see you again. How you doing, buddy?
I'm so happy to be here. I
Dan
feel great.
Wilbur. Dan Wilbur has Dan. I'm talking. Dan Wilbur has been on twice before. Episode 3428, How Not to Read. He rates books, and one of them was called How Not to Read, right?
Yes.
And I see in the description it says Dan joins Keith and the Girl, and the gang talks about books. Do we need them? And what exactly are they? And then he was on another episode, 3655, Husband Material, and also the name of your great stand-up album. Uh,
Yes.
he has been featured on SiriusXM, on your news network, College Humor, MTV, Funny or Die. How are you and yours?
We're great. I'm out here on Long Island living my best life.
Okay. Where'd you
I
live
don't know if you've
before?
heard.
Where'd you live
We
when
lived
we
in
talked to you?
Brooklyn. We lived
Okay.
in Brooklyn for like the last 20 years, and I think the last time that I did this, actually no, if we did Husband Material, I was here because the album has stuff about how miserable it is to live in a house.
Do you
And love to
do you,
get that out there.
do you have kids? I forget.
No, we don't have kids.
Any interest? Not to get too
I
deep.
have a I'm very interested. I'm trying. I try every day. I walk into the room. I'm like, let's get this going.
Right.
No, I don't know yet when that's gonna happen. I have to make sure the house doesn't sink into the ocean first.
Sure.
And we have a pug. That's what right now is a little diabetic deaf pug, and he is
I don't
he's
know.
basically a baby.
I don't know if you've been hearing the news. Keep an eye on that because there's a lot going on with these fucking immigrants. I do, of course, want to talk about the debate, but let me mention this, and I'm glad you're here. We just had the, of course, Harris Trump debate, if debate's the word, and it's good timing that you're here. Your JD Vance that I
Hmm.
see on social media is so fucking funny. I don't even know how close your voice is to him, but you put on the eyeliner, and I'm like, that's the dude. And whether you don't know how to order donuts or you talk about childless cat ladies, it is so fucking funny. And I wonder if it's frustrating to you in a way that this takes off and it's like, hey guys, but also I've been doing stand up for years. I've written for The Onion. I wrote books, and this is what's
Oh
getting
yeah.
you.
Well, you can see even in real time how little interest there is in the stand-up clips because I promised myself that on the weekends, especially if I had a show, like a New York Comedy Club is good enough to give me some shows. They're nice enough to give me shows, and they film everything, so I'll get little clips, and I've been posting them sort of sporadically between the Vance clips, and everyone's like,
Okay.
"No, no, no, thank you." No, thank
Damn.
you for that. I don't need a. I'm like, but this one's good. This is a 30-second joke. This is what you want. A short joke with a punchline. That's what the internet wants. And they're like, no, 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 no. Next thing.
What
Give us the
what if JD Vance does your stand up?
well, I did. I have and that's again, I have like a clip ready to go about how exactly what you're saying. How close is the voice? How close is the look, really? About how I just get on stage and say, I understand. You can stop DMing me. I know I look like JD Vance, and it's like people have to take a second to like soak it in because
Right.
it's sort of uncanny. But he said I have to do the voice because I sound like a little bit of Cleveland and Brooklyn from those are the only two places I've lived. Uh, he says a Southern Ohio voice. If I can get in the that's why you called me here was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to get into the nitty gritty of this. A Southern Ohio voice almost sounds Southern, but it slips in and out, and it's usually on the O's. So he says, it's just a joke. Like it almost sounds like a
Right.
surfer, like a Ohio or what. Like it sounds like in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. It sounds like Mira Sorvino. Like it's like a I can't do it if I'm trying. I have to like actually do the videos. But
Do you think when
yeah,
Trump ordered up JD Vance, he knew what he was getting? Meaning, I think he
no.
saw Hillbilly Elegy and went, that guy I want. The real JD Vance shows up and he goes, no, no, I was looking for the Hollywood version. God damn it. And now I'm stuck.
I think my wife told me this that his kids told him that JD was the guy. You need a young dude who knows Peter Thiel
Right.
and is into crypto or knows about Silicon Valley. Like JD does have an interesting resume in that regard. That it's like law school, Silicon Valley venture capital, and it's like all the things that a Trump Jr. would like, and not necessarily a Trump Senior.
Is
Uh,
JD Vance just socially inept? Is he smart a little bit? Because this isn't the Hollywood movie I saw by Ron Howard.
I know exactly what happened to JD Vance, and
Please.
I've been sitting with it for a long time. JD Vance 2 years ago saw how interesting what Trump was doing. Well, he saw Trump doing Trumpism, where he was insulting and he was basically like a South Park caricature of
Yeah.
himself, where he said whatever he wanted. And he was like, I bet that'll play in Ohio if he won Ohio. And so JD Vance was this, I think, nice guy who was a conservative, who had friends who were trans, had friends. He graduated from an Ivy League school,
Right.
and like all that anyone knew from what I understand of his friends was that he had some mixed feelings about abortion, but he wasn't like a life begins at conception. That's it.
Mm.
He wasn't even Catholic. He wasn't even Catholic until 4 years ago. So I know exactly what happened. It was 4 years ago or 2 years ago. He decided to act like Trump just a little bit, and he opened the door a crack. And we got 2 months of him being on podcasts while he was running for the Senate or while he was a senator, trying to do his best impression of Trump. And he sucked at it.
Right.
And everyone hated it. And he said a bunch of stuff that's not funny because Trump's actually funny. And now he has to like sort of backtrack it, but sort of also still do the Trump impression. And that's why every interaction he has is so stilted and bad, because he can't negotiate the two things for himself. That he is a nice family guy, and he is a guy who cares at least about, white people in Ohio, but he doesn't
Right.
he can't be mean and nice at the same time.
When Christian Finnegan made the point that it's actually a turn on to Trump, that JD Vance called Trump America's Hitler and then said, come on board. And like a lap dog, not to keep bringing up dogs, I'll show like I will, but like a lap dog, he would, Mr. Trump. And Mr. Trump's like, that's right. Come here.
Oh.
Any truth to that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know what I would do personally if any. Well, I mean, I know what I'd do personally if Donald Trump called me and said,
Right.
run as my VP. But if you were like, if it was any other year in an election, you can't just say, like, oh, I know you're vetting me, but no thanks. Although I guess there were two Democrats who did that. So maybe I'm mistaken
You
and
don't got
people
to.
actually.
Now I mean, you're selling out in the biggest fucking way. And if Trump loses this thing, you just ruined your reputation. You'll never be picked to
I
be a
don't think.
VP again.
Oh, I hate
You
to be
don't
cynical
think?
about this. I think as soon as you have your face on TV and people know you as a politician, you have a career forever now, and it doesn't matter unless you do something so heinous that you can't shake it. Like, I don't think running for VP does anything except for, like, worst case scenario, he starts a podcast after this and
Right.
like can't be a senator anymore. I bet he's in the Senate for the rest of his life. I think we are stuck with him, and he's not good at it. But I would love to stand corrected, but I think they'll lose the election. I'm just putting all my cards on the table. They'll lose the
Sure.
election. He'll get to complain about it. Trump will die, and then Vance will be like 45, never run for president again, but be like the majority leader or something. I
I
think he's
hear you.
here forever.
All right. Well, we'll get to the debate in a second. First of all, I want everybody to know I did not forget. Happy 9/11. Every day is a precious gift. Let me tell you something. I don't know where you were in
I was in
2001.
Ohio.
I was in New York City. A.
Wow.
B. I've taken airplanes before. C. I grew up in Somerset, Pennsylvania, where that other plane went down. I am
Right.
so, we're all lucky I'm here today. You
Yes.
know, it
They
makes
can't.
it,
They all the last plane that turned around was actually coming to your house. They said that. They said they said
I,
get it in there.
I've been in that area before.
Right. Well, I've driven past it with my wife. My wife's from Latrobe, Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
and I love their. They have like Jesus cuddling the. I think that's where
The
that is.
towers.
The cuddling the towers.
Right.
It's beautiful. They have a big like never forget, but it's Jesus, and I'm like, I guess
Mm-hmm.
so. I guess so.
if I wasn't sleeping in that day, I might not be here.
You might not be here.
Yeah. And I would like to apologize though, because people were trying to get phone calls out, and it didn't happen till like 5 p.m. I remember, where
Oh my
because all the
God.
lines were tied up,
So
and I didn't help the situation because I was trying to get laid. I would call up exes and be like, "Hey, just seeing how you do. A
oh
lot's
my
going on. How are you? Are you okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin." I'm like, well, "I'm just seeing how you're doing." So I was part of that problem, and I apologize. But
Oh,
it was a
beautiful.
crazy time. My head was spinning.
Where were you exactly? Oh, you were in like
I was
Manhattan?
I was in Upper East Side, yeah.
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah,
but
they didn't cancel football practice, and I'm still mad about it.
mm,
Everybody, planes are downed around the country. No one's going anywhere, but JV football, it must happen.
you
You
can't let
need
them
to,
win. You can't let
you
them
can't.
win.
St. Ed's is coming next week, whether we like it or not.
Uh,
Really
the
rude.
well, we lost 3,000 lives, and I'm like, well, what can I do to make babies? We can't let them win.
Yeah,
So I tried to make some
I
phone
don't.
calls. It didn't work out though.
Honestly, the fear of death will
Mm-hmm.
that'll make
Mm-hmm.
you want to that'll make you want to pump out some
All
babies.
we have is today.
That scared me today.
The number of FDNY members, fire people who died on 9/11, 343. Members who died
Good
since 9/11
goodness,
of related illnesses,
that's
370. It's disgusting. I said this a while back, but it's disgusting that it took a John Stewart to help get medical attention to these first
I
responders,
know.
as opposed to these
Yes.
Republicans that are talking about stepping up and being a hero. They're actually literally the ones who are fighting against it. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I said sorry, I was muttering good God, but it sounded like
Yeah.
I said good after
Oh
you
no, you said good God. You
listed
said
all
good
this.
God.
I was like, good God.
You did
Yeah,
not say
that's
good,
such a
comma
bummer.
God. Yeah,
Good, comma, God. Thank
crazy.
you. Yeah, that's awful. But
It's
now I'm in Huntington, New York, and they have their own because there's so many firefighters out here. There's
mm-hmm,
multiple memorials because like 50,
mm,
60 people died out here.
right,
Um, in the city, they died, but they lived out here.
right.
So it's known.
Do you, when you think about family planning,
Mhm.
do you think about school shootings and shit like this, or is it part of
Yes.
life and you're numb?
No, I think about, well, I think mostly about one IVF because I'm an older guy.
Right.
And I think about the health, like, because I was thinking about my nieces when Roe was overturned. I don't mean to change the subject,
Please.
but when it was overturned, I was thinking about them because they're in North Carolina. It's a little more conservative. And I was like, they're 10 years, 20 years away from like this being an issue. And then I was like, oh, wait, but my wife, if my wife gets pregnant, it's an issue. Like it is a direct
Yeah.
issue for me. Like I'm not even thinking about the kids yet. I'm thinking about that women's lives are in danger first. And then yes, I'm a little scared. I'm just gonna send my kid to school with a gun. It's the
Right.
easiest way.
Train them early.
Just get them, just give them.
We
What are
don't
they gonna
even
do? Kick them out?
we don't even report most school shootings. The last thing most people probably are thinking about is Georgia. Nebraska just had a school shooting, one kid shooting another. Nah, that's not worth our
Ugh,
time.
no.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, what do you think about locking up the parents when the kids take the parents' gun to school?
If it's, I mean, the two cases that I've read about are the most egregious things that I have heard, which is that they did it knowing the kid was not okay. Like, I don't think
Right.
it's anybody's fault. It's the same as like you think about mental health. You tell your kid like, I don't want you to be on Ritalin or Adderall or something, and then the kid is like still depressed and can't function, and it's like, well, did the parent keep them from like a treatment or were they talking to doctors? And then like you read a headline like that and then you find out, well, actually they were like shoving them giving them holistic medicine and their own their
Right.
Zoloft and like without a doctor's order, and then it just turns out that they're crazy people. So there's always a headline that's like, should we really be punishing parents when they're not that person? And then you find out they've just been like, well, every Christmas we gave him an AR-15
Right.
and he killed a dog with it. And so the cops took it away. So then we gave him another one the next Christmas because he's probably fine. Like it's always something like that. It's like there were 26 red flags and the FBI showed up, but we decided to just leave everything unlocked and tell him
Right.
that's there for you if you need it. Like it's a pack of condoms in the In
Yeah,
the
he's like he
bathroom.
learned his lesson.
Hey, we'd
Yeah,
rather you do this at home. Do the gun stuff at home, but don't do it out there. Okay.
if you don't lock up your gun, then I guess lock up the parents. Fucking ridiculous.
I mean, it's not, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's
Yeah,
not, oh, I forgot to lock, because if somebody forgot to lock something up, my parents never locked their liquor cabinet.
right,
That was technically illegal. There were 5 kids in the basement,
right.
neighborhood kids. They could have been arrested if I kept being a jerk. If they knew about it and they were like, yeah, drink that hard liquor, go downstairs and drink all that hard liquor, they should definitely get in trouble for it. But they just didn't know. So there's a difference,
It's
I
you know
think.
what? Is this a weird analogy? It'd be like giving you as a kid a bottle of booze and going, "I want him to learn responsible drinking. Have
Yeah, yeah.
water between each shot."
Hey, I saw you playing with my bullets, and now you're gonna have to eat the whole pack.
You
You
have to
swallow
shoot
those
all the rounds
bullets.
until you're
You got
fucking
to shoot it
tired.
on. Yeah, you have to shoot all
My
of them.
finger
I don't
hurts.
care. I don't care. Dad,
I
the smoke.
I got. Did you see the debate in real time? Did you see clips later?
I watched it the healthiest way you can, which
Hmm.
is I was staring at the screen and I was looking at Twitter at the same time, and
Yes.
I laughed at every single one, every single picture of Alf eating a cat,
Oh,
everything
that's
my
what is
wife
that?
DM'd me.
Do you think that's what Trump thought when he says aliens are coming over and eating our cats? He saw Alf on TV and he's confused what aliens are. The way he's confused what asylum seekers mean. They're leaving
I know
asylums. No.
that one's for real. That one's for
Yeah.
real. That he thinks asylum seekers and insane asylums are the same thing. That really freaks me out. No, I think it's like I watched it the way that I watch a sporting event I'm not really interested in. Um,
Right.
so when I watch the Super Bowl, I do the same thing. It's like I'm just trying to come up with a funny joke about the commercials because the Browns are not in the Super Bowl. I hate to spoil it for you
Sure.
guys. It probably won't be in it this year. Probably will
Right.
not be in it for a while, but maybe. So I'm never like screaming and wearing hoodies and high-fiving people. I'm just staring at my phone and trying to be funny. And then I get distracted by everyone else being funny. So it took until this morning when I listened to the recap to realize that she had the spin, at least from like the Times, was that she successfully baited him at every turn.
What do we
That he
think?
was,
And I will go through the whole thing, but
yeah,
I watched it in real time. When what do you think about when they say she baited him because like she brought up the rallies and that sets him off, so he said he has the greatest rallies ever, and started saying some crazy shit. To me it's given too much credit in a weird way, and obviously I was impressed by her because that's a tough thing to do. How do you talk, treat this person as if they're a person but still be clear they're a fucking idiot asshole? What is that thin line? But it also makes me think about like when you see a show where a woman got scammed by being catfished by a lover. It's like he wiped out my bank account, and it's like, oh, how'd you meet him? I
right,
never met him. He showed me a picture of him on a yacht, and I really thought that
right,
it's like that doesn't mean the dude's clever.
right,
Was
right.
the baiting that clever?
No, I think they just had a lot of ammunition, and
Right,
she chose wisely when to use it. And it honestly, maybe it isn't because yeah, they were saying it was like, wow, she's setting all these traps, and I'm like, yeah,
right,
we're getting this close to being like, she's a conniving monster who's
right.
so good at mental traps.
Right.
No,
He said
she,
something stupid. She rolled her
he's,
eyes, looked at her like when a kid lies to you, like, what? You
yeah.
did what? You got a flat tire? How? Okay, bud.
I mean, he even had I think you are onto something because he had the out to not talk about the crowd sizes.
Yes.
That they were like, we're gonna move on, and he goes, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have the best crowds. She has no crowds, and they're like, we moved on. We
She goes,
moved on. Just let it go.
how clever. Again, not to jump ahead, but how clever was she goes, you know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to say this. I invite you to watch a Trump rally. Hear all
Yeah,
that crazy shit he's saying. Realize
yeah,
how monotonous and boring it is. See why people are leaving early. And then he jumps in. People do not leave early. They just
yeah. Yo, did you see the Onion tweet? I hate to just plug other
go
people's
ahead,
tweets, but people are
please.
killing it. DeNiro was Kim De Niro was killing it. Mike Drucker was killing it, and the Onion was killing it. Those are the people that I was really anyway. The
Right.
Onion wrote Trump space. Trump says nobody leaves my rallies, and then they were like, yeah, they fact check, they leave in body bags,
Right.
which I thought was about someone, the guy who got shot at his
Right.
rally. But like the conservatives seem to take it as like, well, they're leaving, and he just means their supporters are getting killed there. And I was like, no, I think they
Yeah.
literally meant that guy who tried to kill him. It was just a really dark joke. And they
Right.
were like, no, no. I said joke like JD Vance there. Did you hear it?
Oh God, I did catch it.
Joke.
How?
Sorry.
Oh no, it's yeah. I got in. I got really into it. I made popcorn, debate popcorn. By the way, Orville Redenbacher, if you're curious, and I did
Of
happen to see
course.
it's movie theater butter popcorn, only real ingredients. Huh.
Only real
Oh,
corn and butter.
color added. I'm like, oh, real color. Okay. Do not use the popcorn button, it says. Oh, okay. I guess it affects the mixed
That's
tocopherols. That's a
yeah,
real
that's
thing.
that's my favorite thing. Every time it's like, do not use the popcorn button. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. I'll do
Right.
this how I think I'll be fine. And then I use the popcorn button. There's a bunch of kernels on the bottom, and I'm like, I
Right.
guess they were right.
Well, we
They
use
were
yoga
correct.
mats now, and when they made that button for as an ingredient, now they make that old button that can't really handle it. So please, you have to follow our instructions, 2 minutes only. They said so they cut off the mics. So, sometimes, of course, they didn't catch it or let it go deliberately, but they cut off the mics when the other person wasn't talking. And
Right.
it's funny that it was Trump's team that wanted that. They're
Right.
quite clear, and I'm not exaggerating. No, he'll fuck. He
Yeah.
can't. Our guy
Yeah.
can't control himself. We want that rule.
Well, because I think the Biden 2021 was so bad. I think it was the second debate, maybe, or the first debate. Whenever
Okay.
it was, that first one in 2020, he did cut off the moderator, and the guy had to
Mm,
be like, Mr. President, Mr. President,
please.
like over and over. And they couldn't technically cut off his mic because it wasn't in the rules. They just had to yell him down. And it was a disaster for TV, I think. Not even a
Right.
disaster for the country. It was just like, oh, TV is bad. I don't like watching this. And people tuned out.
So people were saying, hey, you know what? He's still not going to be able to control himself. He will be on split screen. We're going to hire lip readers. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I don't even think you need lip readers. I think you'll see him
No.
mouth, she is a bitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't need to be subtle. Yeah, again, I did one. I'm like, yeah, she'll mop the floor with him. But then at the same time, you can't look like a bitch. But you
Hmm.
do have to make it clear that what he's saying is stupid. I mean, I've cut off podcast early sometimes because I look at the guests and I'm like, "What? Goodbye." So that
Yeah,
she's able to
someone's doing that
go,
for me right
so
now.
that
They're
so
like,
that
This Dan Wilbur? Oh,
so that she can go an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I think control yourself.
yeah.
That was good. That was very good.
And I was worried, just to lift the curtain again. I know you really want to hear about these JD recordings. Is I
Mhm.
pre-recorded his debate reaction, and I felt like this was a stroke of genius by me.
Mhm.
And really, it was just like, what can I do with the only 2 hours of free time I have this
Right.
week? Maybe I
Right.
can just continue to work,
Mhm.
because I'm a crazy person. So I knew he was going to say the same like boilerplate answers,
Right.
and when I was recording it, I recorded multiple takes where I was like, you know what's weird is she didn't laugh this time, or like, oh, I hate when she laughs, and I
Mhm.
just recorded it so I could like squeeze it in case she didn't laugh the entire time, because I got a little concerned that maybe she would try to be as somber as possible
Right.
so that they couldn't come after her for being like so joyful or so whatever. And I was just
A
so
person.
happy
Yeah.
that when he said just the dumbest stuff, or when she said talk about extreme and she's laughing, I mean, it was the exact right moment when he started screaming about
Right.
dogs.
When
So I was happy she laughed and was
when
herself.
you saw the Biden debate, I assume.
Oh yeah. Oh
Also,
yeah.
yeah. I was alone, and I bring up this point because who would I be talking to? I'm alone, and when Biden walked out like a mummy, I said out loud to myself, "Ah, shit." So when Kamala came out and walks over to Trump, kind of like slowly, like he's gonna strike like a snake. You never know what he's gonna
Yeah.
do, but then goes to shake his hand and says, what was it? Let's have. Oh, hi.
Kamala
Let's.
Harris.
Oh, I'm
She said
Kamala
Kamala
Harris.
Harris.
I'm Kamala. Yeah, just Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate. I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
That's a person now. Now we're talking. I was happy right
Yeah.
away. More popcorn.
It was so good because I didn't realize that that was the first time they met.
Right.
That's what I was Googling today. I was like, that can't be true. And I was like, oh yeah, when would they have like been partying together? Like when would they have been hanging out?
Right.
Like she's not in the, I mean, I understand, you know, the old friends of the Clintons or whatever, but like it's not like Democrats are going out of their way to hang out with Donald Trump.
Right.
And so when she said Kamala Harris, I was like, that is pretty cool.
Trump
And then they were making fun of her. They made fun of
for
her.
for
That's all.
go for walking over.
For saying her own name. And I was like, that's how you introduce
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. I wish more
I
regular
do,
people did
I,
that to me more.
why? Why would you do that? Why would you make fun of someone who's like, hello, you might not remember, even if you've met them before.
Right.
Hey, I say, hey, I'm Dan all the time. And then I say, good to see you. I'm Dan, just in case they don't remember me.
Well, everything, of course, is a move, and I loved it, but I didn't even think about this. It's probably also acknowledges you keep calling me Kamala as if it's a
Kamala.
racial
Oh, that's
somehow.
right.
That's a deliberate
That's right.
move. So just so you know, here's my name, Kamala.
Layers
Yeah.
to it. Yes.
Um, Trump looked like shit, like physically, but it's been a long
Yeah.
78 years, right?
Yeah, he looked like this is a deep cut, but in the Fifth Element there are these turtle monsters
Mm-hmm.
that like are big round and they're brass colored and like his face had the skin tone like his skin tone was like that
Yeah.
brass like a brassy mechanical turtle. Look it up. Fifth Element Turtle Man. You'll find him.
She really started like a lawyer, is what I noticed. When she goes, like, she gets asked the question, she answers it, and then goes into, let me tell you guys what you're going to see Trump do today. He's
Yeah.
going to be asked a hard question. He's not going to be able to answer it. He's going to switch to immigration and say something crazy. There's going to be more lies. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. You'll see. And of course, that's exactly what happened. But I'm like, oh, this is lawyer mode, and I'm digging it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the opening to a trial. But it's got to be hard too, like to kind of control yourself when Trump says, Kamala here, she's Marxist. Her dad was a Marxist professor, and Kamala like puts her hand up, like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's more
what? I
it's
like
more
that.
like I feel like it's less like real courtroom and more like courtroom dramas
Yes,
that are written by like Shonda Rhimes, where
right,
you're just in there so you can see the big emotional moment. And Trump
right.
always delivers. They always get under his skin on the
Yeah,
stand. You know what I mean? Like
he
he's
delivers, and she's putting her hand to the chin, like, again,
yes,
go on, child. What happened to the
yeah,
car?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Trump got into reproductive rights. Yes, he wants you have the right to keep reproducing. That's reproductive rights. It's so, you know what? It's such a crazy time that Trump says, the Democrats, they want abortions at 8 months, 9 months, even after the baby's born, abortions. First of all, it's called school shootings, I think. But
Right.
they want and that Kamala, and I'm like, Kamala, please say that's not true. Like, why would you have to say that's not true? But she goes, no one's doing that. A moderator even says, not in any of the
Not
50 states
it,
can you kill a fucking newborn baby.
yeah, yeah,
And moving on. And I'm like, you know what? Good and
yeah.
dumb that needs said. It's crazy.
But you know what's gonna happen is because they always do this. They say like we're gonna step up and make this thing illegal. I was just looking into this because I was like, well, what have they done on immigration? Because I wanted to know. Again, not to change subjects,
Sure.
but that they were proud to say they had put a bill in the Senate that said it was illegal for illegal immigrants to vote in elections. And they're like, we're gonna make sure it's illegal. And they were like, that's already illegal. Like
Right.
it's so rare that we don't have like a whole we don't have a ready-made like mandatory minimum for voting when you're an illegal immigrant, but it is illegal to vote if you are not a citizen of this country. And they're like, yeah, but we're gonna make it more illegal.
Right.
So I'm gonna make sure. So they're like, hey, they're out there killing babies. They're like, they're not, and if they are, we arrest them. And they're like, well, arrest them again for even thinking about it.
Well,
So
I
they
hate it.
just yeah, it's just what if we had double laws?
It's
Like
like
that's what it's like. It's like there's a law against it. What if we had double law?
Kamala's like, yeah, we don't do that. And Trump is like, well, you better not. Okay, we don't though. Do you think Trump
Better.
is so stupid? Maybe he heard like maybe his dad said to him, "Look, I brought you into this world. I can take you out," and he's like,
And he was
"Ah,
like, "Ah, look at that.
I
I was
knew it."
threatened. I was threatened at age 20."
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Everyone made the same joke, but I did do it, which was like, I would love if I could have a post-birth abortion right now.
sure.
As soon as this thing is over, as soon as this election's over, I would love someone to partial birth abortion me.
I'm picturing the debate prep
Yeah.
and what's going on in Kamala's camp. And is it like, so you guys have babies and then you guys fuck the babies and drink their blood? And Kamala's like, no one's gonna say that. I'm like, promise they might.
Someone's gonna say that. Yeah, you need like that. They're doing debate prep and they have like
Yeah.
that ringer in the corner. So there's
Yeah.
just like a normal guy, like Tim Walz is helping her. Here's what Trump's gonna say, yada
Right.
yada. And then there's like one guy who's like, "What if he says?
Right.
What if he
Hey,
says they're eating brains with a spoon?"
what okay, what if he says, doubt it, dumb cunt? And the Kamala's like,
Yeah,
what? Like,
whoa,
you gotta be
whoa! You
ready.
gotta be ready for that. You gotta have it locked and loaded. That riff.
Um, I also wonder, like, Trump thanked the moderators often. And
Yep.
I picture his camp and they debate it like, do I call ABC fake news? And it's like,
Right.
no, because there's no crowd. So people will understand that. So you have to actually say thank you and be respectful, which he seemed to be until it was over, of course. And then he says, it was 3 against 1. It was 2 moderators and Kamala against me. And then tweets out later, best debate I've ever done, especially it being 3 against 1. Sure. But you know what now? Kamala's headquarters just posted, goes, hey, we have our latest commercial, and it's the full debate.
Ha.
How great is
That's
that?
pretty good. That's
Yeah.
pretty fun. Yeah, I love that he always changes his mind, and JD Vance does it too. Is they go, "Well, I was being sarcastic when I
Oh,
said,"
he's so
because
funny.
yeah, that he's so funny yeah. So he's saying, "Hey, thank you to the moderators," and then turning his back and saying the exact opposite. But they asked him during the debate, "Did you win the 2020 election?" You said you did, and then a couple days later, you said, "Oh, I only lost by like a little bit."
Right.
And then they were like, "So which is it? Are you like finally ready to admit that you lost?" And he was like, "That's sarcasm." And they're like, "That's not what sarcasm is, but okay."
I
And
was
I
on
think that's
this.
the same thing.
This guy loves sarcasm. I was on SNL. I know sarcasm. Okay. Okay. I like that Kamala brought up the crimes that he was liable for, that he's waiting to be sentenced for. And then Trump shakes his head no, like, none of this is true. No, this is true. But I guess it tricks people, you know. I'm talking about an 11-year-old, but Betsy Helmuth was just on the show the other day, and she was debating letting her kids watch the debates. I'm like, first of all, they're going to be bored. Who cares? And she did
Right.
send me video. One of the kids spinning in a circle in a chair, bored. The other one's like licking the carpet. Um, and but the one daughter, 11, said, I said, what do you think? And she goes, well, with Trump, you can't tell what's true and what's not true, you know? And I'm thinking, like, no, even there he tricked you. None of
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
None
Yeah.
of it. But you would think it'd be illegal to say this shit if it wasn't true.
No.
Like there must be some truth to it. No, he did
No.
say there's good people on both sides. I don't care what Snopes says. I was there. And then when Trump goes, there was a sentence after that was said that. Then what's the fucking sentence? Was it not? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
what did you say after? Which, by the way, I played on Keith and the Girl. There's, that is what he said. There was no sentence after that took it
Yeah.
back. And
Well, they love to move goalposts. And I know
sure.
I just keep bringing up the dogs and you haven't even
Yeah.
gotten there yet. But
Right. Right.
but that JD Vance is like, "Oh man, they're eating dogs in Springfield. I saw the reports." And then like Trump's like, "I saw on TV."
TV.
And you're like, "What?" And then they come back and they're like, "Well, if the rumors aren't true, we know, like, what if it were true?" And you're like, that doesn't count. You can't just be like, "Hey, I know I lied, but like it's close. There's other stuff." Like people see Haitians walking down the street, and you're like, "But that's okay. They're allowed. You're allowed to see them."
I remember taking somebody to court for scamming me. And
Mhm.
I brought, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm representing myself, whatever. It was an arbiter. It's such a silly case. It was an arbiter as opposed to a lawyer, as opposed to a judge. But
Right.
anyways, I came with like print article printouts of scams like this and what they, do to get your money or whatever. And the arbiter is like, what's this have to do with this? That's a different thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. I printed shit out. He's like, no. So when you get to a level of Trump going, I saw something on TV, is my point. I was 18, but okay.
You tried. You
I
did your
liked
best.
I liked that Trump brought up the Democrats. They try to weaponize their words, and I took a bullet in the head because of it. And the moderator's like, yeah, okay, moving on. Like
That
when
was the best.
it's
I
not
think
even
that was the funniest
interesting that
moment.
there's an assassination
I
attempt.
know. If you walked, I wrote, yeah, if you walked into the office and you were like, hey guys, I almost got shot last night, like it grazed my ear, and your boss was like, hey man, we got a lot to get to today. That's the first thing out of his mouth is that he said, we have a lot to get to tonight. And I was like, he just said he got shot. Give him like 2 seconds
Well,
to be like,
Kamala
hey, I'm
wishes
sorry.
Kamala wanted him to talk more about it, and then she looks over and goes, "Oh, by the way, your ear is looking good. Congratulations." AR-15, I heard, but your ear's looking all right. She goes, this guy, Trump, he was given $400 million on a silver platter. He went bankrupt 6 times, and Trump goes, "No, it was a fraction of that I was given by my
Yeah,
dad."
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, a
1/4.
fraction.
1/4. A quarter of $400 million.
So it's famous that Kamala, who was she debating at the time, said, "Hey, I'm talking over here." Was it? Oh, it's
It's
Pence, I
Pence.
assume.
It's
Yeah,
Pence. Yeah.
and he kept interrupting. She goes, "I'm talking again, like to a child. I'm
Yeah.
I'm talking now." So I think Trump was waiting to use that. I picture his
Uh,
handlers said, "Hey, if she interrupts again, you say I'm talking." But he was talking that just threw it out and goes, "I'm talking. I'm talking." Do you remember that? Does that sound familiar? I'm like, oh, that I picture like it's a writer writing for a comedian, and the comedian blows the joke, and the writer's like, that is
yeah,
not
yeah.
practiced it.
Oh, it sounds like an argument you get into with your mom as like a teenager. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, oh, remember when you said this? And you do like an imitation of your mom, and she gets even more angry, but it doesn't land.
Kamala wants to take your guns and transgender your kids, and I love solar. I love solar. Me too, Keith Malley. I love solar. What the fuck? I was
They're
hoping it would end.
transitioning.
I was hoping it would end, and he walks to her, but she just slaps him. Fuck out of here.
Uh, yeah, they're transitioning from gas. That's the gas to electric. They're making everything. Don't you think it? Do you think that? And this is a comedy question,
yes.
but do you think we're like back to the aughts now? I'm just saying. I might get again. I'm like, will I be canceled on a podcast? But like they're saying such egregious shit that
Mhm.
you only have to be like lightly not racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic, and you can like get away with a lot of stuff because they're saying shit like your kid goes to school and they come home and they've had an operation. And I'm like, that's never happened.
They
This
come
is
home.
insane.
They come home. They have an operation. They come home a couple days later because the school just took them to the hospital to get the operation. Then 15 years later, all of a sudden we got a time machine. 15
Yeah.
years later, they go, "Mommy, what did you do? I remember
What
when
did
I
you do
was a
to me?
boy and it just hit me. I don't like this."
Yeah, it's so just something about it is like I feel like 5 years ago, if we had come to this subject, I'd be like, I have a lot of friends who have dealt with this, and I have nothing but empathy for them, and I try to understand them, and we talk all the time, and now it's just like, well, I guess they're just saying this shit, they're just making shit up, and so like irony's back in it, where we're just
Right.
like my friends are writing back like transgender aliens getting their sex changes and like sending photos like just stupid shit, stupid
I
memes
I
that
said this.
wouldn't have been funny 5 years ago.
Yeah, agreed. I said this recently in stand up, but it's like, if you really think these Democrats are raping and killing newborn babies for fun, you're really not angry enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what's
You
for
should be.
dinner tonight, honey? Don't tell me toddler soup. I simply can't. Like, you just go to work after you thought that's happening? Okay. All right. Tell me about the January 6th, Mr. Trump. I had nothing to do with it. Okay. All
Oh,
right.
did they just move on from that?
Yeah, they moved on a little bit. Kamala acknowledged under 40 cops were injured that day. Some of them
Right,
died, and
right.
he's just like, they asked me to make a speech, and I made one. I don't know. I don't know.
Just like the Heritage Foundation. They're like, well, I don't know.
Right.
They just because they agree with everything that I've ever said,
He's
doesn't mean that I planned that and
he
worked with them and love them.
right. He's Trump said he goes, I'll tell you a little secret. Biden hates her.
Hmm.
He knows that. He's on the inside. He knows Biden hates her and goes, she hates Israel. Now, first of all, wait till she finds out her husband's Jewish. That's gonna be a to-do. But Biden hates her and she hates Israel. Okay.
He
Uh,
also added in there that he's like, he said she hates Israel, and the Arabs hate her too. And I was like, what? Like he just decided that she had there was no either or. She took no sides. They just both hate her. So she can't, they're just going to hate each other forever. And they're going to hate Kamala Harris, which I guess is technically like a possibility. You just hate the American president. But like, what an insane thing to just sort of double back and be like, and the Palestinians,
it's just,
and,
uh,
and,
hungry? And then he said but so he brings up Biden because he forgets who he's debating, and then he goes, by the way, where is he? Is he even alive? Do we have a president?
yeah.
They threw him out like a dog. This guy and fucking dogs.
He saw him today. I saw the clip. They're like standing next to each other at Ground Zero.
Who's this?
Trump, Vance, and the Bidens and Kamala.
Really?
They're shaking hands, they're standing,
Man,
and
that's gonna be
Trump's not
tough.
looking. He's not looking down during like the moment of silence. Everybody
Mm.
else has
He's
got their
looking at the
heads
sun
bowed.
again. He's looking at the eclipse.
He's like,
Fucking
maybe it's
idiot.
coming back.
He Kamala brought up Putin would eat you for lunch, acting like you have this rapport with all these leaders. And I couldn't help but picture Putin watching, being like, I would eat him for lunch. Da. For sure. Of course, Trump saying Biden and Harris were the worst presidents and VPs ever in the history of the world. Uh, but again, the moderators I liked. I wrote a note here. Okay, I think you said words. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we get to Afghanistan? Again, no, thank you, Mr. Trump. No, thank you. You're still trying to talk. No, thank you, though. Now let's move on. Is it legal? Would it have been legal for Kamala to bring out all the generals that were under Trump's watch that disagree with him? Would that be against the
Hmm.
law?
If it's not classified, I think don't generals write books all
No,
the
you can,
time? And
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
they,
But I mean,
yeah.
does it break the debate rules? Like, can I
Oh,
have
it definitely
special
breaks the
guests?
debate rule.
Okay,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there's all those rules about like you can't even have props because if you
Right,
could, you'd be pulling out,
right,
like Trump would pull out a balloon animal or whatever, but you could like
right.
pull out you could pull out visuals and throw a snowball or an egg at somebody.
Trump
Like,
said that because of the way we left Afghanistan, that's why Russia attacked the Ukraine.
yeah, incredible. I mean, he's just like almost correct. That's what's so cool about Trump, if I might,
Sure,
is that like Afghanistan was a place where America and Russia had beef by
right.
proxy. Like that is true. The CIA was losing money in like vans, like big vans of cash. Now I sound like Trump. I'm like, they had these vans of
Biggest
cash.
bands you've
They
ever
get
seen.
into Iran. But no, there's a book called Ghost War. I'll cite my sources. There's a book
Okay,
called Ghost Wars, I believe, and it's about the CIA starting these little proxy wars and basically funding the Al Qaeda in the what 80s 90s in Afghanistan because Russia was going to try to get in there. It's like Russia and America sort of horning in on this place that they don't belong in.
right.
And so he almost makes sense, but he did not make it clear. Like, and I
No,
don't think
well,
he knows. I don't think he
he
knows any of
doesn't
that.
know. He doesn't know
He
what the
doesn't know
fuck you
that.
just said.
I'm just saying there's like a long history of the Cold War acting itself out in the Middle East between America and Russia. And if it were Trump 20 years ago, he would have been able to articulate it. But now he's just like, I heard it was a thing. I heard this. Like, because
It,
somebody probably told him.
it's
Probably someone
so
in the CIA told him
right.
that.
It's so
And he can't
crazy.
remember it.
It's so crazy that you a question is, hey, can we acknowledge Mr. Trump? Do you think Kamala's black? That was brought up. And of course he blows it. He starts, I don't care how she identifies. Then he goes to but I heard that she wasn't black recently. Now she's black always. That's what I heard. That's
I
what I
heard she
heard.
wasn't black.
I heard that.
Oh my God.
I love black
Yeah.
people. And then, of course, Kamala brings up, really? How about when you put out that ad saying to execute the Central Park Five, the innocent boys?
Yeah.
How about that
Yeah.
birther bullshit with Obama? How about you not hiring, not letting black people into your hotels, into your apartment buildings, rather?
Right. I feel like that one and her stuff on reproductive rights were like the strongest to me because they sounded like she articulated the talking points as fast as possible.
Right.
That like there is so much
Yeah.
evidence that you were racist at some point and are still then he doubled down on the Central Park Five. Like he
What do you
sucks
say?
at
The
it.
jury's still out?
Yeah, so I don't remember what he said, but I just my God. I think he never really took it back. He never really rescinded his original statement.
The immigrants are coming over and they're eating your dogs and your cats.
Okay, finally we're here.
What the fuck? So the aliens are sneaking into Ohio
Yep.
specifically, and
Yep.
they're eating your pets. And I didn't get it at first. Why I was seeing memes of this from Donald Trump's account of him with AI generated ducks and cats, and it's showing that he's protecting the animals from being eaten by illegal aliens. Now I get it. What the fuck? What the
I
fuck?
had I again just a thought I had right before this was so the original statement I think is a guy saying there's a bunch of Haitians here and they're going into this town park and they're killing ducks and I've seen them kill ducks and I believe that guy that and if you're catching birds and eating them things are kind of desperate and you're living with people who maybe have a different lifestyle than you. And
Okay.
all I can think about is when JD Vance is like, we need to protect these families, we need to protect the kids of Springfield, is that if I were in like sixth grade and I was hanging out at the park with my friends and I saw a guy walk over to the pond, behead a duck, and then like start plucking it and eating it, we would
Right.
never stop talking about that. We would just be laughing. Like no one would be traumatized. We'd be like, do you remember that day when that guy just walked into the
Right.
lake? And he plucked a duck out and just ate it in front of us. That was incredible. So I just think, and I was a kid in Ohio, so I know what I speak.
Right.
That would have been hilarious, and I hope that's not happening. But the pet thing is definitely not like if you there's like animal cruelty laws. There's like so many things that if you had proof that your dog disappeared and you were putting up signs and then someone came over and was like, oh, is that your dog? I ate him. They would be arrested. It's
And a
not.
moderator for ABC says we called the city planner of Springfield, Ohio, and they're saying there's no stories about these pets being eaten. Like, picture that call. What? Did I put you down that there's no credible source? Yes.
Well,
What?
yeah, we're lucky you didn't go like, yeah, sure, buddy. Just no,
Right.
yeah. They're eating the dogs. I gotta go. Someone's calling me about the recycling not getting picked up.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
And then Trump said that's what a city planner would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
You don't want to know that all your animals, you got to keep the people calm. And then, of course, trending now is talking about Trump's health plan, which is, quote, I have concepts of a plan.
Concepts of a
It's
plan.
common.
I don't. They've been trying to rescind the ACA for since the what 14 years since it passed. So you'd think they'd have a plan by now. Once they rescind the plan, their big plan was to rescind the plan, and I've had 14 years to think about it, and they're like, "Well, ours will be better.
I
Don't
like
worry
when
about it."
I like when he brought up Kamala wants to take away your guns, and Kamala says, "Me and my husband both have guns. Fuck off."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
enjoyed that.
yeah.
There was a
That's where you need
point,
the prop comedy where she just like
yeah,
shows that she's
a
strapped.
trench coat of guns.
Yeah, just a whole bunch of guns. Like a yeah.
Did you catch the point where it really seemed like she was going to call him a motherfucker?
I
And
saw it. I saw it later. Yeah.
and this former president,
Yeah. Yeah.
was a
It
close
was
one.
great. Yeah.
Climate change, how would you fight it? Trump said he'd shoot it in the face. If I was president,
Bomb the hurricanes.
climate
That
change
was a
will
real
never
one.
happen. That was a real one. Yeah. Can,
He
can
said
we
he'd
put a
nuke the
bomb in a
hurricanes.
hurricane? Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just asking questions. He brought up Biden's son for no fucking reason. I guess we were supposed to think. And then it goes to commercial, goes, final thoughts. And I don't know if you saw this. I saw behind the scenes. He was vaping and she was unnecessarily stretching. And then, of course, and then he said, by the way, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Sarcasm.
Right.
I was being
Jokes.
sarcasms. Yeah. They're eating dogs out there. Oh my God, how great. I love seeing on social media people's pets watching the debate. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
coincidentally, the dog's
It's
like,
really funny.
or they hide behind the couch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's a funny tweet from Ben Rosen. Being a moderator is a crazy job. Just sitting and listening for a full minute and saying thank you, but nobody is eating dogs. Next. Thank you. That's not true. Okay. Oh, what are your thoughts on JD Vance in regards to Trump sold him out? He
Oh
goes,
yeah, I just
JD
threw him under
Vance
the
said
bus.
you would sign a national abortion ban, and Trump's like, well, we
I
never
mean,
talked. We never
he's
talked
lucky.
about that.
He's lucky he got his name right. So it just completely out to lunch. That guy.
Let's see. I thought that was my best debate ever, said Donald Trump. Um, oh, here's a tweet from Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
Huh.
Now, do you remember Four Seasons Total Landscaping?
Yes.
It was Giuliani or his team put together a press conference for Trump,
Right.
and they thought they were going to the Four Seasons, but they set up the wrong place. It was Four Seasons Total Landscaping, and it was just like outside in a strip mall. Four Seasons Total Landscaping tweeted out, "We'd like to announce that while we are not a hotel, we are a concept of a hotel."
Yeah, we have concepts.
Okay,
I think that is a parody one, but I'm not trying to
I
negate.
love it.
I
I'd
just don't
say
want to
it's real.
spread misinformation.
I'll
So
do it. I'll do it. I don't mind.
it
Fucking
was great
hilarious.
though.
I don't give a shit.
They didn't ask for that.
Hey, I was being
That poor
sarcastic.
company.
Taylor Swift, of course, endorsed Kamala last night.
I know, and
She's
I
been
thought
sitting on it.
I thought I was a genius for coming up with this idea to pre-record JD Vance's reaction, and I posted it the second the debate ended, and it worked a little bit on TikTok, but I was like, this will be it. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna see this before JD even speaks. And then the first thing I saw, like as soon as it loaded, was like Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris. And I was like, well, all right, no one's gonna see this until tomorrow, maybe.
What was your thing?
It was just a video. It was just another
Okay.
video of like JD saying, wow, Trump won and Trump,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I was just guessing what he might say.
Yes.
But I got it out before he even appeared on ABC
Right.
or whatever it was. And he sort of said, like, she just delivered these platitudes. But they asked him about the dogs again. There's like a 3-minute clip of him being like, well, we don't know if it's dogs, but like they're doing something.
They're doing, I
doing
have to
something.
assume something's going on.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift tweeted out 283 million followers, by the way. Taylor Swift. Like
Yep.
many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on the topics that matter to you the most. All right, so she's not saying nothing. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country. Recently, I was made aware that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted on his site. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. I knew that was a bad idea for him to do that, for him to repost. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans to this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. Let's see here. I'm voting for Kamala because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she's a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we're led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do. And the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially the first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I'll link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
Yeah, I love it.
Good.
No,
And
he'll
then,
never live it down.
and she talks about, body autonomy and women's rights. Elon Musk tweets out, find Taylor, you win. He obviously is, sucking Trump's dick. Find Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life. Could
Yeah,
somebody sit him
that's
down and say he's not funny? If this is affecting my fucking Doge, I swear to God, speaking about killing animals, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. What the
Ugh.
fuck is going on? But I did get a mass email from Kamala's camp, and it says Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Will you join with donating $25? Blah blah blah. I think Taylor can cover me. The fuck do I
Yeah,
got to
come
do
on.
with it?
Match
Yeah.
my donation of
Uh,
$50.
so, oh well. But yeah, I don't know. So obviously we knew who we voted for. It wouldn't who we're
Mhm.
going to vote for. It really wouldn't have mattered what happened on the during the debate. But it did make me feel it makes me feel good. I'm feeling good. Well, how are
I'm
you
also
feeling?
feeling good.
Yeah.
I feel really good. I listened to all the takes from media outlets that are like, well, she didn't really define herself. And I'm like, she sort of said, I'm not Joe Biden, and here are all my
Right.
plans. Like, what else do you want? She did
She
it. She
she
did
literally
the,
said that too. She's
yeah,
like, "You
yeah,
know I'm not Biden. You're
yeah.
talking
Like,
to
she was like,
me."
here are my plans. I'm not going to explain. Like, that's one thing it's funny. It's like the difference between I have concepts of a plan and someone deciding not to explain like all the reasons for inflation in a 90-second clip. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like she's not like going into economic theory and being like, we need to prime the pump,
Hmm.
Keynesian economics or something. Like, I mean, I guess she could have, but it's so weird that they're like, well, she doesn't really have a plan, does she? And that was Trump's attack too. It was like she didn't have a plan. She just said, "I'm Biden and I'm doing this," and it was C spot run. That was the
Yeah.
thing he said. And
The
yeah, it's just that there's such a major difference, and it's sad to me that there are some people out there like can't see the difference.
Who are these?
There's
You have to
so
be
many.
mentally challenged. Who are these people that are undecided? Who are you? Who
Well, there's
like?
people. I think there are people who are undecided whether they're going to vote, which is upsetting.
I
But I
see.
think
Okay.
there are people who are like, I'm a lifelong Republican. I can't do this guy. And those people always say they're undecided, but I'm almost certain that they vote for Trump anyway.
Right.
That they just go in and they're like, oh, I could never vote for this guy. He's so bad, but the alternative is we become Venezuela. And you're like, okay. And then they vote for Trump and they're like, I just wanted to say publicly that I didn't do it, but then they do,
they do
is
these
what happened.
debates, and then they talk to a room of like 12 people, and
Right.
he goes, "You're the undecided voters, and we have air conditioning on and snacks for you. We want you to relax. Would you like a massage?" I I I think they like being wooed. And it's
Yes.
like, yes,
Yes.
it's up to me to so you
That
cool
is,
me down. But meanwhile, you look like a fucking idiot.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely part of it. It's like it's a little bit of a contrarianness
Right.
I don't identify as far left or far right. And you're like, I know,
I'm
but
so nuanced. Yeah.
you have an opinion that put like, even if you are middle of the road, I know plenty of people who are middle of the road and they're still like, yeah, that's why I'm voting for Kamala.
Right.
You're like, okay, like they're not like I'm middle of the road and I care about these four things and that's why I'm voting for the dumbest person.
Right. Do you know that Amazon Prime show The Boys, the
I
superhero
do
show?
know it. I've never watched it, but
You might have seen memes, and Homelander is the main bad guy, but in this world, you're convinced that he's a good guy, and it's pretty clear that that it's political in real life. That he's a version of Trump with but the skills of Superman. So Vought International is the company that owns these superheroes, and they and so the show tweets out as if Vought Industries is real, and they
right.
tweeted out, "There's no debate, Patriots. Homelander, the bad guy. Homelander digital trading cards are the most American thing you could ever buy. A full collection is now available in the link in our bio, along with a chance to purchase a piece of his super suit and send a text message he might read. And then it's pictures of Homelander, like the Trump cards. Homelander as a football player. Homelander as a race car driver, as a golf expert, on Mars with the dragons in the background, as Santa Claus. I love it. It's such a clever fucking show.
Trolling them. Yeah.
I love it. Oh,
Oh,
well.
good.
Well, thank you. I wanted to talk to a book reader about this who knew his
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
And so
I, re- I read the headlines and sometimes make it through like four or five paragraphs
I'd
of a
say
news article.
you knew stuff that how many books you brought up on this show, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably true.
I did cite a source on a book, and someone can tell me I was wrong.
But
Um,
don't ever correct me about Total Landscaping Services. Okay, thank you.
I'm so
Okay?
sorry. I didn't want
Nobody would
to.
have
I
cared.
just saw it right before the pod, and I didn't want to be like they're spreading misinformation. That's really
Dan,
funny.
thank you so much. What should the audience know? I'll tell them this. I'll tell them that your stand-up album is called Husband Material. Your books and videos can be seen through your website. What else? Please tell me, please.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's Dan Wilbur Comedy. That's my TikTok handle too. It seems to be where the JD Vance videos are getting a lot of attention. And also on Twitter, it's just at Dan Wilbur. And that's where people, I'm not going to say older people, but I'll say the normal people are. So if you wanted to share one of your favorite Vance videos, my favorite so far, since we've talked about politics for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite so far is that I think the Arlington National Cemetery should have been a bigger scandal. And JD Vance defending him, I made a
Yeah.
video and it's basically an entire
Mm.
sketch in a
I
minute and a
loved it.
half.
I loved
And
it.
it's,
So
yeah.
let me say, if you so that you don't say it with your self-doubt words, it is so fucking funny. And JD, he's JD Vance, and JD Vance is like, well, there's no law that you can't turn the Arlington National Cemetery acknowledgement into a photo. What's that? Oh, he was told you can't do that. Okay. So, well, at least he didn't. These are so good. When you see JD Vance though saying some shitty shit, are you really like, can I get a break?
I'm so tired. You have no idea how tired I am because I have a job. I work in a bookstore. Speaking of books,
Oh, there you go.
I'm married. I have this dog that's needs shots. I have to go do my show right after this. I got another, I have two
Right.
shows tonight. I can't just be in my basement all day, like filming this stuff. And he does so many. There's just so many things that he said that could be covered with like 5 or 6 jokes if I thought hard enough. But like I just don't have the time
Yeah.
to keep like people kept sending me pictures of him wearing a shirt in a pool. And I'm like, I don't really know if that's like I don't really need to make fun. I mean, I guess that's a
It's like, do
choice that he
this, do
wore a
this.
shirt. Yeah, so there's so many. And the one, I mean, like I have to do. I haven't written anything for it, but I have to do the dogs. It's just
Yeah,
so
of
I mean,
course.
he brought it up again. They're sticking to it. It's now just part of the record that they're
Right.
running on Haitians Eat Dogs. And again, it just feels like I'm back in the irony of 2007 where we're like, well, now you can just say now you can just say
Yeah.
some wild stuff and it's not nearly as crazy as reality.
Does it bother you that you do more research on JD Vance than JD Vance does on any topic he talks about?
I I have done a lot. I read the book, first of all. I
See,
did read the book
he
when it
didn't.
came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't read the book. Someone else wrote it. Someone else. No, I think he wrote it. I think that was back when he had a soul. And then people are
Is
like,
it
he
well
sold us
written?
out.
Again, I only saw the
It's
movie.
good.
Is it well written?
It's not bad. It's not a bad
Okay.
book. It's that at the end of the book, I'll give you the synopsis. He tells his life story, and I'm sure that's covered in the movie. I've never seen it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then right at the end, for like the last 50 pages, he's like, Appalachians don't need the government's help with that. And I was like, well, but you just said like they all have Mountain Dew mouth and they're
Hmm.
taking Percocets for breakfast with milk. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're they're dying and you want to just leave that like hang them out to dry. They have to solve this for themselves. And I'm like, that doesn't work. Like
Right.
and I think I had read like Springsteen's memoir around the same time, and Springsteen had better like political ideas. And
Right.
he's a musician. And he was just like, yeah, I think there should be like maybe not universal basic income, but like something. And
Yeah.
they're like, no, no, nothing can help these people. He's like full libertarian at the end of it. And I think that's the part that's really negative about it. So I have actually done, look at that. I have done the research. I know
Is
exactly what his take is.
is it interesting you haven't seen the movie?
No, I don't.
No, it's
I
not
am so.
interesting.
I know because I know you're a movie guy too.
Yeah,
Like, if a movie sucks, I'm angry. If a movie sucks, like, and I'm nothing against Ron Howard and
sure.
Glenn Close, but like, I was not interested. And like, if I'm like a half hour in, like, I have to finish it, and then I'm angry at myself that I finished it. So I'll probably watch it just again for research. But my God, like, if it's not even just like a decent movie, I'll be angry
But
for days.
that's how I feel about books, and books take longer,
Books take longer, but there's something, at least it's quiet time.
I
At
guess.
least I'm alone and I
Also,
can
you
just underline something that I can make fun of him for.
you can kind of change the book. You're
Yeah.
making up what's happening a little
Yeah, you
bit.
can read it in Jeremy Irons' voice.
Right.
You can
That's
read
right.
it in your head. You can make it as sexy as you want.
I had tits to it. Dan Wilbur, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
This is such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.